Yo YouTube, how are we getting on? And today I'm going to be talking about fitness and being a parent, right? Realistically, when it comes to becoming a new parent, or maybe you're a seasoned vet, you're going to realise that you've got less time and energy for yourself and for your fitness, for your well-being, and for your body. And there are three things that are going to make things a lot more difficult. Number one is that you're going to have more stress, okay? It's like you go to work and you come home and you've got more work, right? And unless you find child rearing super easy and you love it, then yeah, it's going to feel like another job at times. Not all the time, right? There's those wonderful moments. It's creating a mini version of you, but there is going to be more work, and that means that there's going to be less time and less energy, and you are going to be stressed out. And when you're more stressed out, you can make worse choices, right? Especially worse choices in the short term that sort of alleviate things. So like eating, whatever you can get to hand, or eating chocolate, or having alcohol, just to give you a little bit of a boost to get you through the week. The problem is that you can become reliant on that. So that's number one, getting more stressed out. Number two is having less time, right? Because you have less time, then you have less space in your schedule to fit workouts in, to fit fitness in, and to fit in, cooking, preparing meals that are in alignment with your body goals. The last thing is, in terms of nutrition, it's much more difficult to stick to a nutrition plan when you have kids that are snack monsters, right? They just want to eat snacks all the time. They maybe don't want to have the Lean 15 recipe that you've thought up because it's just got too much spice or too much flavour, or I don't know, they just want pasta today, right? Today they want pasta and tomorrow they want chips, and they're not going to eat anything else other than those options. And even when you make them those meals, when they say they want them, they might decide to change their mind and want something else. And so you kind of, the overall picture here, right, sounds really bleak, but you just have less choices, less energy, less time, all right? And because of that, it's more difficult to put in the inputs, right? Do the things that get you the results that you might be looking for on a personal level, right? And it's cool to have personal goals. It's cool to still want to be a unique individual and not just become a da or a ma, right? You still want to maybe look good, feel good, and perform well, right? When it comes to being physical. And the thing is, over time, this is going to be more valuable to you, okay? So when you're in your 20s or 30s, you got some kids, or you got a kid, then it might not seem that valuable right now to be putting this time in, to be looking after your body, looking after your health, because maybe your health and your body is not in shit shape, right? You're not in a really terrible position. You look around, you just see the other mums and dads, and you're like, hey, like I'm in reasonably good shape, or I'm somewhere in the pack. But the problem is, over time, people on average get into their 40s and their 50s, start to lose body confidence, start to lose fitness, until they're in a place where they're really not happy with their own personal appearance, how they perform, and the last hurdle is they start to run into health problems. So now that we've got all the negative mojo out of the way, let's talk about the inspiring stuff, let's talk about the positives, let's talk about the steps that you can make in order to improve your situation as a parent when it comes to looking after your fitness. So when it comes to having less time, it's so important that you put the time that you do have into things when it comes to fitness and stuff that you enjoy, right? If you're doing something like going in the cross trainer because that's what you used to do to burn some calories, and it's soul destroying, it feels like a chore, you can probably push yourself through that in your 20s. But then when you become a parent, you're gonna be like, this is shit, right? And I have enough work in my hands, never mind having to grind myself through this stuff. So you have to enjoy the exercise that you do choose to go for. When it comes to nutrition, maybe you could just drink protein shakes or eat chicken and rice. Now it's more difficult to do that because you've got a kid. And also, eating those bland foods is just more sad, right? You maybe want to have an outlet for enjoyment. And one of those outlets is going to be food, right? And so also, as well as it being an outlet for enjoyment, it's an outlet for your family. So it might be that you go out at the weekends, or you go out with friends and have, let your hair down, right? And have a wee bottle of wine. And so you're going to want to have those things in your life. So you have to understand how to set your nutrition up so that you can have some of the things you enjoy and also be able to drive results. So having a flexible nutrition framework, understanding calories, understanding macros. If I'm saying this and you're like, I don't know what that means, There's plenty of resources out there. If you want me to point in direction, just drop me a little message and I will send them over, okay? So, stress. Okay, so stress management. How are you going to manage the stress of becoming a parent and having less willpower, less right? Less power, mental power and mental energy to handle the stresses of life, okay? Because you're handling the stress of having a child, then your ability to manage stress gets poorer, and that can lead to making poorer choices around nutrition. So you have to find a place or a positive outlet for your stress, some way that you can handle your stress in a positive manner. So it might not be namaste and doing meditation or going to local Pilates. It might be making sure that you get out and go for a walk, as small as that sounds. It might be making sure that you get to the gym 2 or 3 times a week, even if it's like 30 minutes. It might be doing a home workout. There are lots of different things that you can do. And most of them, I would like to say, are going to be getting physically active. Now, why is that such a positive outlet for stress? It's because it sort of disconnects you, if you like, from your life, right? It's a little bit of escapism, okay? And that is what stress management to a degree can be, right? So there's one which is directly dealing with that stress. If a request comes in at work, you're a little bit stressed out about having to handle that request, and then you go and do the work and you get the request done, and then the stress diminishes. So that's directly dealing with it. The other thing is managing it and on the expectations, okay, around that stress. So like the request comes in, I've got like 3 weeks to do that, and not being anxious about hitting this, doing the workload that you have to do. So that's more like management and mindset and understanding how to actually cope with that stress and the anxiety that it might cause. And then the other thing is kind of like escapism from the stress, like it's a short term cutting yourself off from the stress so that you can escape that stress and have a little bit of a peaceful moment. And that's going to be different for everyone. Exercise, I think, is a really positive outlet because it's going to improve your fitness and your well-being in a physical sense, and it's also going to give you a place to disconnect mentally, okay? So whether that's running or going to a class or going to the gym. And so I think that's pretty powerful, right? Personally, I find that really powerful, is just having my own space to exercise and, go to the gym, right? So think of something along those lines that's going to help with the stress management, as opposed to just necking wine and eating chocolate, which is what a lot of parents do to cope with it, right? It comes to Friday, it's like, where's the red wine? So trying to get away from that, having a positive outlet. Now, when it comes to time, okay, you're going to have less time, so you have to spend the time that you do have doing things that are the most effective for you to drive the result. So if that's something like fat loss, then you're going to have to learn about macros, you're going to have to learn about calories. You're going to have to spend time doing that, and that's probably going to be the best thing that you can do, is understand nutrition, understand how to fuel fat loss, right? How to get the results by working with your nutrition. If it is getting fitter, then you're going to want to understand how to do workouts, whether it's resistance training or cardio-based training, that are going to give you the result that you look for, whether that's toning up the body, or whether that's being able to go upstairs without being like right, without breathing like a walrus, and potentially doing something like challenging, right? Some people want to challenge themselves. They want to run a 5k, run a 10k, deadlift 200 kilos. I don't know, right? Something like physically challenging. So you have an outlet for that part of your brain that likes a challenge, that likes to do something different. So making sure that you can improve whatever that challenging thing is, right? Not really making sense here, but hopefully that's helpful. So we have tackled the stress. We have tackled the time. The last thing is nutrition, okay? So it kind of ties in with time, because if you're looking for fat loss, you should be spending most of your time on nutrition and not exercise, right? Educate yourself on calories, macros. That is going to lead to fat loss much easier than if you just try and get your Fitbit or whatever magic watch you have and try and burn as many calories as possible or do as many steps as possible. Because that's probably just going to lead to you being frustrated and consuming all the food in your house, because you get hungry when you exercise, right? And so if you don't manage your fuel, you ain't going to lose fat. So concentrate nutrition if that is the thing. But just general guidelines for nutrition, I've noticed as a parent, is having some sort of plan, right? And when I say a plan, I don't mean that you know exactly what you're eating every single day and have like a meal plan, because that is not going to work. Because you are going to cook a meal that your kid or kids have ate every single day and absolutely love, and one day they're going to be like, I don't want this. You're like frustrated out of your mind, right? Or you are going to have your perfect meal plan, but it's like, oh, you should have salmon today. And you're like, yeah, the family does not want salmon. So that's not going to work, right? So meal plans don't tend to work. What does work is having a framework for your week. So let me talk you through mine. Maybe that will help, right? So in our house on Monday, it's Pizza Monday, right? Because Monday's always a busy day. So we literally just have frozen pizzas, pepperoni or margarita, or if you want to be fancy, with the spinach with the goat's cheese or whatever it is. I don't know, right? And we just have pizza on Monday. Super simple. Bring them in the oven, and we just make sure, me and my wife, that it's somewhere around the calories that we want to be the rest of the day, because we know we're having a 700 to 1,000 calorie pizza at the end of the day on a Monday. On a Tuesday, it's usually a chicken dish, and I'm cooking it, so I just have to get chicken and decide what chicken dish I'm doing. And then on a Wednesday, it's usually an oven meal, right? I am not some sort of fancy, super healthy, healthy is such a stupid terminology to use, but I'm not someone who is super health conscious and nutrient conscious and salt intake conscious when it comes to my eating. And the reason being is because I just think it would be wasting a lot of my mental energy on something that has such a negligible return, okay? So whether or not I'm having white pasta or brown pasta, a health conscious nutritionist, right, might be well, we should have more brown pasta because it's a slower release carbohydrate. There's a million different reasons they could spout, okay? But the reality is the marginal gain that I would get from doing those things is just not worth it right now. It's just not worth it when you're busy, right? So if you vibe with that, then this should hopefully be helpful. So Wednesday is some sort of oven meal. So it could be a cottage pie with some bread and butter, right, as a side. It could be some lasagna, right, super simple. And then Thursday is usually some sort of mince dish. You might notice, I ain't a vegan, right? Tried the vegan thing. Yeah, I love animals. I would love to save them all. But my daughter has driven this. We tried the whole vegetarian vegan thing, and then she just loves sausages. And so, yeah, sausages ended up back in the house, and then we're back into meat. Maybe one day I'll get back to saving animals, but for now, we're having mince, right? So we've got mince, some sort of mince dish, maybe chili, maybe minced potatoes, something with mince, right? It's happening on a Thursday. And then on a Friday, it's takeaway Friday because I work late. My wife goes and gets takeaway with her parents, and I get takeaway. And then Saturday, I usually cook something. I usually do something a little bit more jazzy because I've got more time. And then on Sunday, it's a Sunday dinner, right, with family. So that is, you probably don't care, but that is the template of my week when it comes to food. And we follow that template every single week. And so we know the calories roughly that we have in every dinner every single week. And so it gives some level of structure and understanding of what is happening, right? And there is some variation, right? You can change the chicken dish that you're having. You can change the mince dish that we're having. And we don't always just eat like robots and have those things exactly like that. But it's a template that can be followed so that when you go to do your shopping at the weekend or on the Sunday, wherever you go, you know exactly what you're buying, right? And so you aren't just eating on the fly and eating on the go. Because if you leave the decision-making process of your eating to the last minute that you possibly can, then you don't know what state you're going to be in when it comes to the last minute choice making. So if it comes to a Monday night and you've had a really shitty time, you need to sort out dinner, then it can be super easy to go for a takeaway or go for fast food or just make something that probably isn't in alignment with the goals that you seek. So by having a template or a structure, you can reduce the choices that you do have to make, which has a positive impact on your nutrition. It's a really long-winded way of saying just have a skeleton to follow every single week when it comes to your food and when it comes to your dinners. Maybe even have a skeleton around breakfast and lunch, okay? Just have a set 3 or 4 options for breakfast, 3 or 4 options for lunch, 3 or 4 options for dinner, and just, have variations of each of those different things, and then you just keep following that skeleton. And that way, there's less choice and there's less room for error at this time of your life where you have less time and less mental energy to be choosing what food you should be eating. So, hopefully this has been helpful. I'm absolutely boiling. It's really, really sticky today. Depends on you've seen this video. But we had all the sun, and now the sun has gone away, but it's behind the clouds and the rain. And it's 20 degrees, but it's that clammy way. You know it's so I'm melting here. So, if this has been helpful at all, make sure to subscribe to the channel, click the notification bell if you want to know when I'm releasing another video. And yeah, hopefully this has been helpful for any parents watching. Catch you later.